Are we going?
Yeah, we're going.
Okay. All right. We can just edit this first bit out, can't we?
I don't know. How about I stop and we restart?
No, don't. That's the best part. It's real.
Okay, it's real.
But I've lost my sunnies.
No sunnies.
Hang on. Well, I need them because it's bright. Your intelligence is overwhelming. Okay, so good morning, Leigh. How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm great, Matt. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Do you have a coffee?
No, I don't. I have a water. I should have got my green tea just to be an anarchist for the coffee page. Sorry.
That's right. This is going to be a problem.
It is going to be a problem.
Be an issue. I'm afraid we're going to have to
Can I
end it there.
Can we pretend I'm drinking coffee just for your page?
Oh, if you must. Just write coffee on it or something. If you imagine it being coffee while you're drinking it, then
it'll taste like coffee. Yeah.
That will suffice. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, look, the reason I asked to spend some time with you today is because you're quite an interesting person, and you have a wealth of knowledge and a very extensive background. Can you maybe tell our millions of watchers, and what's so funny? Can you maybe tell tell me anyway, tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, I study occupational therapy at uni, and one of the reasons I was drawn to it was because the lecturer in the first lecture said it was holistic, that it looked at the whole of the person. And I kind of found out down the track that wasn't quite true, but for a Western medical profession, it really does give you a big variety of opportunities to do work in different fields. So that's what I went and did, and I worked, I'm an ING, which means I like variety, so I worked in quite a few places. I worked in rehab and then mental health and palliative care and chronic pain. And while I was doing this, I was also studying some stuff on the side. So I did NLP courses and energy healing courses. And I was really I guess I've always been a passionate researcher about human behaviour and what's involved in creating change. And at that time when I was an occupational therapist, I was doing it a little bit, but I was very much an observer of that. And then I worked in corporate health and in corporate rehab, so getting people back to work after injuries and that kind of thing. Started doing some training, but by this time I'd studied kinesiology on the side, and I opened my own private practice as a private practicing occupational therapist, but a kinesiologist. And I worked with a lot of stressed executives in Brisbane, and I had this kind of niche with stressed execs. And when I moved up the coast, I wasn't meeting any stressed execs. And by the time, by the time I did that, I had been studying coaching, and I became a business coach for people on how to fill their practice for solopreneurs. I did some leadership coaching, and then I've kind of come back to really life coaching and transformational coaching because I'm passionate about people tuning into their own wisdom and finding their own answers. And using and knowing how to do that so that they can create the life they want to create. So I really consider myself more of a transformational life coach, but people come to me with their business strategy and they come to me with their relationship stuff. They come to me with everything now. Because the women I was working with would come to me with everything anyway, particularly the women. Men would often be more focused just on the work, but the women would come in and they'd go, I go, how are you going? And they'd go, oh, crap, I just had a fight with my husband or whatever. And so we'd end up coaching everything in the room. So, yeah, so that's kind of been a bit my journey over the last, umpteenth courses and learning how to be a business person and an entrepreneur involved in all that. So it's been quite a journey over the last 20 years or so.
Wow, 20 years. So you started when you were about
15. So I probably graduated uni in 2000, but I've been coaching now for probably 6 years, 5-6 years, calling myself a coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And what would you say is humans or your clients' biggest issue? What's the underlying thing that you see is their main challenge, if there is one?
God, that's a hard question. I don't think there is one main challenge. But for me, I come back to, again, really living the life that they want to live rather than what they've been programmed or told they should do, whether that's in business, that they should do this and they should do that, or they should live this way. And, you know, people are living according to their programming much more than they think in terms of the behaviours and beliefs they've inherited as a child, but also societal programming, ancestral stuff they've inherited. And I work on every level of that. So, it's this mindset will only take you so far if you just come from there. So I'll look at where their programming's coming from. And for me, it's about freedom. It's the freedom to be yourself. So I just don't think there's that many people who are actually really being real, who are actually really being themselves. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with it, but tell me what you mean by that. What's a good example?
What I mean is that, okay, so, I mean, I guess my clients, a good example is that, so somebody might come in with a business, or a woman might come in, I'm just picking somebody out of my head, who has, you know, she's a mother, she's a wife, she runs a business, and a lot of what she's done in her life has been about giving and obligation and caring for other people without necessarily looking at what's right for her. And sometimes we just fall into the track of our life rather than creating our life. And so I think we're all creating our life sometimes, and then we're all falling into programs and behaviours and what we should be doing at other times. And to me, what I've been aiming for personally is to just really show up as me and to go, what's right for me as a soul, as a person, and live that life, whether or not that fits the standards of my family or society or anybody else's opinion matters little really in that. So I just think a lot of people come to me to be freer. They actually want to be free from their crap, and they want to be free from the opinions of others, and they want to be free from their fears, and they want to be free from their programs. So, you know, for me, when you ask what's the biggest challenge they've got, it's that. Whether they know that's what they want, that's actually what they want. Yeah. They want to be free to be themselves, which sounds very kind of woo-woo, and, you know, but it's true.
Yeah, it's true. So do you think that people realise that? Like, for example, I'm thinking of someone who used to be a member of the gym, and, you know, they thought what others around them wanted of this person. So she would go and do that. She would be that person. Yeah. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, and I guess most of my clients have some level of awareness, which is why they're investing in coaching. And they're well and truly done quite a bit of self-development, but they're smart enough to realise that you can do that on your own and it's hard work, or you can just get somebody who can see your blind spots quicker. But I'm going to teach a person how to fish, so kind of coach, and then I'll give them tools they can walk away with. But for me, I guess most of the clients that come to me have an awareness that the path that they're on isn't working for them, and they need to make an adjustment, no matter how minor or major. And they know there's stuff holding them back in that adjustment. And how that might show up, I mean, quite often that shows up in, I'm not getting the business results I want, or I'm not, my relationships aren't working. Because if you're not on path with who you are and what you want to do in your life, and you're not sharing your gifts, there's every other part of your life starts to show that up. You know, so the woman that was over giving to her kids and I guess having issues with her husband, then so much of her energy was going into that, was affecting her business. You know, so for me, business particularly, for women in particular, and men as well, but men can push the burnout thing a little longer than women. It's just the way the bodies are made. So, but women will need to have a sustainable business. I'm not talking a fly-by-night business. They'll need to look at their self-care and make sure that that's going pretty well, and that their relationship, the other areas of their lives are okay. They don't have to be, optimal. But if they're not on purpose at all, it will affect the other areas of their life. You can't self-sacrifice forever without starting to feel resentment creep in, or starting to feel, I get a lot of what I call, it's very respectfully, but overgivers, do-gooders, people that really take responsibility quite often in their life, but sometimes they're taking responsibility for the wrong things rather than for creating the life that they want to create, that their soul yearns to create.
So what are they taking responsibility for instead of that?
Well, they might be taking responsibility for the problems of others, or for things that are out of their control, so that leads to internalizing. This is where a lot of my clients get self-esteem or confidence issues, is that they'll internalize whatever goes on as their fault. They over-responsibilize. So, there's two people in the world. There's people who blame everybody else, and there's people that blame themselves. There's externalizers.
Yeah, got it.
Internalizers. So, the healthy balance sits above all that, where I go, I take responsibility, but I see that your stuff is your stuff. And when we've got conflict going on, particularly in any relationship, for me, that's an amazing opportunity to look at what's not mine, and if I'm triggered, what in this is mine. This is a trigger, an opportunity to let go of something and clear something. So, for me, whenever anybody's been triggered by something, that's an opportunity to release something or integrate a part of them that hasn't been integrated. Got
it.
Yeah. So that's transformational coaching. It's about integration of the aspects of yourself that you've disowned, and we all have everything within us. So I love shadow work. I could go on about this all day, but we're getting off topic because I know you have some questions that are related to other stuff.
I really do, and I'm interested in that shadow stuff as well. So maybe that's another coffee/green tea/water conversation.
Okay.
So you mentioned transformational coaching, and you don't have to look very far on Facebook to notice that a lot of people are calling themselves coaches or mentors, or some sort of
expert
type of business, and there's so many of them out there. There's all these, as a term you would use, fake gurus.
Yeah. We're just breaking up a bit, Matt, and you're frozen. So I think it's still recording on my end. So I'll talk until you come back. You were going to ask about fake gurus, and it's not that I believe that they're fake gurus. It's that I believe that the guru is within them. It's within you, and the guru sits within me. So whenever anybody says this is your 7-step formula to success, or this is your 5, or this worked for me, so this will work for you, I actually don't find that to be true. I haven't found that to be true in my own life. So yeah, I've lost Matt. I'm going to keep talking. And so, yeah, I'm just going to text him and say, come on back. But I haven't found that to be true at all. That I'm just going to text, I'll keep talking. LOL, join when you wish. You just, the 7 steps to the whatever, what I find is that people invest a lot of money in other people's results, and whether those results are real or not. It's really dangerous to put anybody on a pedestal, because your wisdom lies within you. The truth of everything you need, I believe, Matt's coming back. Hey, I just kept talking without you, Matt. The truth of
this is ridiculous.
Don't worry, I've been keeping them entertained. I've just been talking about fake gurus. And just to catch you up, I actually don't believe that people are fake gurus. I just believe that the guru is within you, you know, that your path is within you, that actually, and this is where I get spiritual, that your soul knows exactly which way you should go. And if you need to find out the how, there's nothing wrong with investing in a course that teaches you the how, but you could probably equally YouTube it or Google it, because there is no perfect 7 steps that's going to work for you or me or anybody else. And I think the industry puts themselves on a pedestal, but then the clients have to take some responsibility for this here, because they'll often put these people on a pedestal and drop their own power and their own wisdom and say, just hand feed me the answers. And in my experience, whenever I've done that personally, it hasn't worked. And, you know, I think if we're really honest in the coaching industry, the results that we produce for people when we have that approach aren't very good statistically. So, yeah. And then I've got a lot of cynicism around this coaching industry, as you know, Matt. Both you and I have been in it for a while, and I've seen the behind the scenes and the good, bad, and the ugly of it. You know, I've seen amazing things come out of it, but I see people latching onto this idea that it's lucrative to coach coaches, and or it's lucrative to coach business owners in the 7 steps, and they're chasing the money, but they don't necessarily have the credibility or the you know, or they haven't really tried it out themselves. They're just rehashing what they've learned from their previous mentor. So, and I have to be honest, you know, I kind of call myself a reformed guru, you know, like I did that a little bit. I jumped on that bandwagon of...
You're on the dark side.
I went on the dark side. I jumped on the bandwagon of what's a lucrative niche, you know, and because that's what they teach you in coaching school, is to find the lucrative niche. And that just doesn't work for me. If it works for other people, that's cool. But, you know, what I used to find with the stressed execs, I think we touched on this in a previous conversation we had, but what I'd find with the stressed execs, and I'm seeing with the business owners too, is that after a while, after they'd created the whole successful world, and this is what I'm talking about, the programming of what we should have, right? Like I should have the big house and the wife, the pretty wife and the kids and the whatever. After they'd created this and gotten to whatever, they would often have a crisis of meaning, or they'd be so stressed that there was no quality in their life anyway. And they would come to me from that space, from the crisis of meaning. And I guess in my work now, I'm getting different versions of crises of meaning in terms of people coming disillusioned, spat out the other end of that kind of marketing cycle and going, it hasn't worked for me, and what do I really want anyway? So they're having a different crisis of meaning. And the whole point of that to me is to start to listen to what's right for you. The answers are within you. And it does take a little bit of learning how to connect to those answers. And in seeking help, like if my intuition says seek help, go get a therapist or a coach or a healer, or go find out from that person how to do the latest thing that feels really aligned for me to do, because it's using my skills and talents, right? So, you know, one of the things at the moment is everyone should do video, right? Well, I love videos, and I think videos are really important for connecting to your audience. But if your core skill is writing, like mine is, I'm actually better off putting more energy into writing than I am to videos, and so, because I can't be everything. I can't chase every marketing strategy. You know,
That's right.
Like unless I've got a team of 10, and then I've got to, you know, That
would be nice.
That would be nice.
Can I ask a question just to take you back a little bit? You mentioned that people are following this certain journey. They then reach that journey, they get to that finish line, and they have this absence of meaning, or this, you know, what now sort of thing. Is that because they're not on the right path in the first place, or the right journey, or were they chasing the wrong things from the start?
I'm going to be really existential here, in that I kind of don't see it's the wrong journey. I see it's part of the journey. It's like as we go through consciousness, we have to or as we grow through our levels of thinking and development, we go through these stages of chasing the I'll be happy when. And that's just part of the journey. And it's kind of like, I see most people making that journey. And Wayne Dyer calls it the shift, where he talks about the shift from ambition to meaning. And it's, some people might attribute that to a midlife crisis. I do find with men, sometimes it can happen in like a little slot of their life, like over 6 months or over a year. Women, sometimes it waves in and out over years. It's not as defined, but for them, sometimes it can be a crisis that's triggered by something. Like, for me, the death of a friend was the trigger to my shift from ambition to meaning. For other people, an illness or a relationship breakdown can be the trigger as well, because, being thrown into an emotional space starts and going, look at what I've created and it's all crumbled, and did it bring me the happiness I wanted anyway and it's not working, creates this space where you reevaluate your life. But for other people, it's just that feeling of here I am with everything and it's empty. And I just think this is kind of like, it's a spiritual evolution of you as a person, where you go from, and there's nothing wrong with being in the drive for success and money as your primary focus or your primary goal, but you will outgrow that at some point. And it's not like I'm saying that I'm better than somebody who is. They're not. Like, some of the people who are still on that journey, I actually have huge respect for. They've developed, what that journey has done is help them develop their abilities. Like who they are as a person is better for that journey that they're on.
Yeah, got it.
If you know what I mean? Like, if you're really going for success, it requires you to discover different parts of yourself. Or, for that version of success, because there's like a million definitions of success. But if you're going for that traditional version of money or whatever, you have to bring out aspects of yourself. But sometimes in that pursuit, what's brought out can bring out your shadow as much as it can bring out your good stuff. And I guess that's what we're touching on about lack of integrity and, selling stuff, in the past when we've had chats around this.
Yeah, okay. And just on a side note too, existential, if you can use words less than 4 syllables, I'd appreciate it.
How about like to get to, I don't know, woo-woo or spiritual?
Yeah, nothing more advanced than that, please.
Okay, excellent. Keep that in notice.
So, exactly, yeah. And here we are, we're all following our certain journeys in our own paths and stuff like that. Yeah. I guess for me, I'm big on, and for anyone that will listen, I'm big on teaching patience and consistency and sticking to a plan. And, a 50% half-decent plan seen out to the end is a hell of a lot better than the most amazing plan ever that you give up on after 2 weeks, like most people do, right? So where do you sit in regards to, human beings and our level of patience and our want for this immediate success?
Gratification, yeah. Look, I think where I sit on that is how much do you want it? And, when I look at, there's been times in my coaching journey where I've gone, is this sustainable financially? Can I keep doing this? It's hard. It's not actually a very easy industry, despite what those marketers would tell you to make money.
Really?
Yeah, really. So, so for me, where it's come to is just going, well, I remember saying to my dad, he was like, oh, you should get a day job. And I was like, Dad, this is all I'm good at. This is like me sharing my gifts with the world. This is all I want to do, and it's all I'm good at. there is no plan B. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's, and if there is a plan B, there's nothing wrong with getting a day job, or I've done contracting work to keep the money flowing in. It's not a plan B. It's a plan that supports plan A.
I thought you were going to say concreting work.
Sorry?
I thought you were going to say concreting work then. I thought...
No, contracting. So I've done, as an occupational therapist, I've done some work. And the work I've done, when I look back at it on the side, has supported the work I'm doing in terms of my ability to show up as a good coach. And so if you're going to get a day job, like, you know, do that, or do something mindless to support it. But for me, that sticking with and consistency and discipline has been something I've struggled with the whole time, because like I said, I'm an I energy, you know, I've had that shiny object syndrome. And so, you know, I definitely still am learning the consistency and the patience lesson. But I'm wholeheartedly with you on that it requires, there isn't any quick money. If they're saying 7 steps to $1 million, they're lying. End of story. You know, exactly. and so for me, it's, yeah. And if you happen to get that overnight success, well, awesome, good luck to you. But you're not one of the many. You're one of the few.
And I guess if, you know, I disagree with that overnight success thing. I think, as Gary Vaynerchuk says, show me someone that's an overnight success and I'll show you someone that's been working on it for 15, 20 plus years, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, I really am, like, to create mastery in anything, this is, you know, there's that whole 10,000 hours idea, and, you know, I'm not sure what the number is, but it's not 7 steps in 1 month to, you know, to any journey, whether it's being an entrepreneurial journey or just learning how to be a good coach. You know, the reason why I really, you know, I've done thousands and thousands of hours of helping people in crisis and critical parts of their life, and major health crises, and at the end of their life. And yeah, so at times I think doing those hours counts.
Oh, agreed, 100%. I think it's I think it's really interesting. The thing that I try to get people to do is get motivated by the journey. Don't get motivated by the finish line. Yeah. Because as long as you're motivated by the finish line, you just keep wanting that, and you're missing out on all the lessons, all the experiences, and all the amazing things that will happen, you know, along the way. And the failures, like there's a lot, there's so much good in failing. Yeah. You know, you learn. That's why I'm so smart, because I just stuff up so much. You know. But yeah, so every small failure or every step along the journey is really where the lessons are, right?
Absolutely.
And we shouldn't shy away from it.
Oh, absolutely. And I actually think, you know, we even, to the point where when people are having a hard time, we judge them for it, that we pathologize pain, you know, that depression becomes something that's almost, you know, when any life, if you look at nature, life has cycles, and I just live according to those principles, that that quite often the gold in my life has been found in the pit of despair, you know, or coming out the other side of that is when I've had the real creativity and the insights. And like I said, the death of a friend triggered a major reawakening. So it's quite often our pain and our failures where we learn and grow. I mean, it's great to learn while you're just traveling along and read a book and learn, but, you know, experiencing some of that deeper, darker stuff embeds the lessons home a little more.
Most definitely.
So, yeah, I just don't think I think we're very avoidant of, as a culture, of acknowledging the realness of that journey, that it's not all roses, and that we expect it to be easy and happy and light and success after success after success, and then we're marketed that that's the way it should be. And so if it doesn't show up like that, then we compare ourselves to the people that we think are telling the truth that it is like that, and start to think there's something wrong with us. when it's just a journey. You know?
Well said. I couldn't have said it any better. I've been in that trap so many times where you want something, and you know it's going to be hard, but then someone tells you, just follow my thing or pay for my thing and I'll show you how it's easy. Well, I have paid for their thing and I have done their journey, and you know what? It's still bloody hard.
Yeah.
They haven't shown me anything that hasn't told me it's still going to be hard. You still have to be patient. You're still going to make mistakes. You know, paying that person $10,000 didn't make it any less of a journey, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, it didn't. And I mean, look, I don't have an issue with the coaching industry, and that sometimes having somebody just with you on it. But, you know, a lot of times when you're investing in those programs, you're not getting any one-to-one time. So you're not really getting that sense of somebody with you on that journey, because entrepreneurship and business can be really lonely. And so I think, you know, and it matters to have somebody to point out your blind spots. I think having a coach that's insightful around those blind spots, particularly with your own mindset or your own, how you're sabotaging yourself, how your fears are getting in the way, that kind of thing is really, really useful. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with the 7 steps. I just don't think that the promises that are made are really coming from a place of integrity quite often, because I'm not sure they're promises that can be made. But hey, that's you know, so I spend half my time looking at a Facebook feed going, well, don't. Because, you know, people present, even if they're not marketing, you know, we're all marketing on Facebook, people present their best life and their best face. And I'm not sure, I mean, I'm sure some of your listeners completely question that, but it has an impact over time.
We're not going to go down the Facebook road today.
Okay,
I don't think there's time or enough coffee for that. But, yeah, we'll leave fake book for another day, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so let's start to wrap it up. But one question I do want to ask is, if there was one thing, here we are talking about patience and journey and go through the experiences, but someone with your experience and, you know, the amount of people that you have coached, and you've seen people at their highs and definitely their lows, what's one thing that we could all be doing to immediately make for a better, happier, you know, put in the word that the person wants life from here?
Every time, I think you've asked me that question before. I'm probably going to give a completely different answer. I don't think there is a one thing, like, you know, like it's completely individual on the person. But for me, can I give 2?
Do I have, is that a question or is you telling me?
I'm going to give you 2. The first thing for me that's been amazing in creating more quality in my life is to create space, which is the antithesis, and that's too big a word for you, which is the opposite of what the message will be in the marketplace, which is work your ass off, focus, go, 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 be productive. Do more, be more productive. I've actually got more creativity, better ideas, more productivity from creating space. So if I have a 15-minute nap, or I go walk on the beach and I get an idea for my business or an idea for, you know, even my home life, and then that just creates better quality relationships as well, because I'm not in this paradigm of busy and rush and do more, be more. And then the other side of the coin is really to do, and this is the opposite really, in that do the work around shifting your own stuff and shifting your own beliefs. You know, if people go to other people, they want it spoon-fed to them, but, you know, you can learn how to shift your own beliefs pretty simply, or shift your own stuff. And so do the work on your stuff, you know. So for me, they're the two things: create more space and do the work on your own stuff, and listen to your own answers. And I've got a whole system and way of teaching people how to listen to their own answers. And some of it comes from that creating space and just connecting to earth, bringing the energy up their body and connecting to source energy and being in that aligned space, which to me, when you're there, when you're feeling aligned with yourself, that's when truth is readily available to you, rather than listening to the noises outside of you. And listening to the
Yeah, exactly. Listening to the answers you said, and having space to find those answers, but that starts with asking better questions, doesn't it?
It does, and we touched on that last time. I think that was probably, I had a better answer last time that got deleted, but yeah, every day, what questions are you asking yourself? So if you wake up and go, like, if something happens, like you have your failure, Matt, and you go, what's wrong with me? And why has this always happened to me? You're going to feel really crap, and you're not going to do anything from there. So that's a really poor quality question. And a better quality question would be to ask, okay, yeah, what could I do now? What could I do differently? What's going to, fill my cup today? How can I serve someone? There's so many better quality questions we can be asking than that. So, I mean, every day, whether you realize it or not, you're asking yourself questions. So if you just start paying attention to what questions you're asking and ask better quality ones, which is all what coaching is about. Really, coaching is just the art of asking a good question and holding space for the answer, really, at its essence.
Yeah, exactly.
So be your own coach.
100%.
Be your own guru. Be your own guru. Ask better questions.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Leigh, if anyone wants to have a chat to you from here, what's the easiest way for them to find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook on Leigh Rorke. You can message me there. I've got an Instagram page, which is Your Soul Aligned Life, and my website is leighrorke.com. So it's leighrorke.com. And you can book a 15-minute chat with me on there for free. It's a chat. It's not a sales call unless you want it to be, because, I get you to tap into your own wisdom about whether it's right to work with me. So if you want to connect there, then it's there. And I'd love to chat to you about really tapping into your own wisdom and getting out of the way of yourself and having the quality life that you deserve.
Love it. Thanks, Leigh.
Thanks, Matt.
It was awesome as always, and we need to do it again soon.
Awesome. See you later.
Thanks for your time. Ta-da.
Bye.
Bye.